So my story starts in September the 7th, 1972. I became the mother of a little boy named Terrence Gregory White. And he was everything that a mother could want. He was the cutest little thing. He had this little round face and these button eyes and all these curly hair. And I have a sister that's sitting in here tonight who's every day said, I wish she heard had his baby, because she had to take me to the hospital every other day. I was having a bad pregnancy, but she was like, every time she took me, she said, God, they keep you this day. I'm tired of coming from Northeast Baltimore to City Hospital, like every other day. And so finally he arrived, and he was everything that a mother could imagine that they would want. Just perfect, everything, 10 fingers, 10 toes, everything was good. And so we went on. I had all of these huge plans for him. I had this roadmap of where I thought his life should go, year by year by year by year. Not only just me, but during that time, there was a village. And so whatever I missed, there was somebody there to fill in that gap. And so we go the first couple years of his life, just perfect. He went to Catholic school, he was an altar boy, he played baseball, basketball, football. He played drums at school. I was on the front seat of every little recital at school, at every baseball game. And so we're on this roadmap. We're on it, and we're not getting off of it. We're gonna stay right here, and we're gonna go year by year and what his growth should look like. And he was surrounded by cousins, all of the same, around the same age, all in grand house. So everybody had the same morals, the same standards, and were raised exactly the same way. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. He's 13 now, and I'm noticing that there's some things that's different. But I didn't catch the onsight of what caused these changes until much, much later, basically in his adult life. So I'm noticing right after the death of my husband, there's some changes. And he's going in a different direction. And he's not this little boy that was shining, that the teachers loved, and everybody loved and embraced the football coach, the baseball coach. Everybody loved Terrence. And so I'm noticing these changes, but I'm not quite sure why they're happening. And so somewhere around 1987, he was about 13 years old, he got in his first bit of trouble. And he got caught on a scooter that some friends, I had come home from work, laid down, he went out, got on a scooter, police pulled him over, and instead of what he thought they would do, bring him home to me, they took him to the police station. And so his fear was not so much the police taking him, but the police having to call me to come get him. And so I went to get him, and I fussed, and I told him, you know, why would you do that? Why would you leave out the house without permission? All of these things. So I'm going to keep forwarding a little bit. So that was his first incident. His second one, a little bit bigger. Third one, a little bit bigger. He's now become a teenager of almost 18. So at 18, he gets in trouble, and he goes to jail this time. And so I'm buying time every time he gets in trouble. I'm buying his time, because now what did I do? Where did I miss something? Why didn't I keep him from doing this? I'm blaming me for what he did. And I'm not the only mother on this earth that does that. So we go, and I get him. And finally, we're going to fast forward to when he gets into the big trouble. And this is when my life changed, because I found my son in serious trouble that was going to take him out of my life for a long time. And so my life changed, and I had to figure out how I was going to do this and how I was going to support him And how was I going to get the child that I raised, the child that I knew had all of this greatness in him? How was I going to get him back? When I got to court with him, and this time I knew that it wasn't going to be a little bit of time, I just sat there and waited to hear what was going to happen. And when the judge said 20 years, I said, we can't do this. There's no possible way we can do 20 years. I prayed on it. My family supported me through it. I was a wreck because how could this happen? This happened in other people's family, not mine. You know, it doesn't happen in my family. You know, and if it did, it wasn't close enough to me and the family to matter. But this is in my house, and everybody is wondering how this happened. So I cleared my mind. They let me hug them, and I walked out that door. When I walked out that court, my thoughts was, how can I get him through this? How can I not let the system continue to just suck him up? It's got to be something that I can do. And I found out that one of the things that I could do was let go. I found out the other thing was to clear my mind because I did everything that I knew to do at the time that this was going on. He didn't, and he will tell you, he didn't do the things that he did because he had to bring food in the house or pay gas and electric bills or help in the household. He will tell you he lived in a beautiful home, went to a good school, had a car at 15 and 9 months. He did it because he wanted to. He did it because some men in his life passed away, and he decided he didn't want any more men in his life. Nobody was going to get that close to him again. But he also realized he needed a man. And so he went out the street, he met some criminals as men, and they taught him some criminal behavior, and he was good at it. So at that moment when I walked out, and I realized that I was going to have to fix my brain to see how I can support him. And I found that the only way I could support him was to love him until he loved himself. And so when I did that, the first couple years he was there, he was still a knucklehead. But then all of a sudden, I had this idea of why don't I take this mess and make it a message that might help some other mothers and some other young boys and some other service providers to help keep our young people from winding up in that situation. And so I decided to write a book. And the book is called During Time with My Son, A Mother and Son Story of Love and Endurance Through Incarceration. And I documented the whole time he was there. He didn't do the 20 years, he did 9.5 years. And so I always want to rush to get to the end because it's so good. But when I went to visit him, and I heard those gates click behind me, I felt like all I needed to do was slap a number across my chest. Because they treated me the same way that they were treating them. But I wasn't going to allow it. I taught them some manners when I went there. I taught them some manners. Because you're not going to talk to me because I ain't never been to jail. Okay? It might be just because I never got caught, but I ain't been to jail. And he was going to do this thing, so I said, Terrence, I got this great idea, let's write a book. I can't spell. I'm telling y'all that right now. I cannot spell. I can't send nothing out, even with spell check. I have to have somebody look my stuff over before I send it out. So I said, let's write a book. And he said, I'm not telling my business, that's my personal business. I said, okay, well, I'm going to write it because I feel like what I'm learning through this journey, I'm going to be able to help somebody. And that's all I want to do is help another mother not have to go through this. Well, if she does, how to get through it. So after about 3 or 4 months, he was on lockup. My question is, how the hell do you be on lockup when you locked up? I couldn't understand that. But that was another changing moment in our lives because I told him I refused to come sit and talk to you through those nasty, filthy, dirty windows and that nasty phone that they let you talk through. not doing it. He didn't go on lockup anymore after that. So he decided while he was on lockup to start writing. He said it became therapeutic for him when he started writing. It also took him back to where his issue started. And so by him being able to go back to where his issue started, he was able to help some young boys that was coming through that door that looked just like him. He said, I saw me coming back through that door, and I wanted to help them. So I had to let them know that I was an altar boy, that I went to Catholic school. I had to tell them these things because otherwise they would have thought they had to come in and still be rough and stay in trouble, the same trouble that got them there. He said, but when they saw who I was and the respect that I got there and people knew who he was, they weren't ashamed to say that they came from a good family, that they had a good mother. And so we made it through the book. He was very instrumental in it, as well as a lot of other family members, because I wanted everybody wants to feel sorry for the inmate, but nobody ever takes in consideration what the family goes through. It's a rough journey. I don't wish it on anybody. But doing that, he learned a lot of things along the way. And today I couldn't be more proud of him if he graduated from Harvard. He came home. His wife divorced him while he was there. He came home. He's been home for 6 years. His wife divorced him. He came home in August. They remarried in October of that same year. They have a 4-year-old. He just bought a beautiful home for his family in Abington, Maryland. He has a CDL license. He drives for a living now. They got the 2 cars. The only thing they don't have is the dog. But his life is so full, and he sees the value in himself. And I'm sorry that he had to find it that way, but I'm grateful that he did. And so when I just share with people this story, I say if you have a loved one that may be hitting, love them until they love themselves. Yes.